Okay, so today we have a Boss Phaser PH-1 on the bench, and bypass works. We turn on our little inoculator over here, and then when we press it down, kind of heightens it a little bit in volume, but these don't have any effect. As you can hear, there's no real phaser effect to it either, so we're going to see what's wrong with this thing and open it up. So as you can see, we have our standard Boss single layer design. These chips over here are labeled, it looks like RC3403A. Underneath that is RAYC7945. Those are the silkscreen on those chips there. And well, I guess let's figure out what those do and if they're either op amps or OTA chips. I guess we'll find out. Here is the model number for this PCB board, ET25F.
So here's the data sheet for the RC3403A. It's a ground sensing quad operational amplifier by Raytheon Electronics. So quite a while back, huh? But anyway, it's a quad op amp, and here is the pinout, and it's the exact same pinout as other op amps like the TL074 that I might use to replace this if I need to replace it. The RC3403A is a high-performance ground-sensing quad operational amplifier featuring improved DC specifications equal to or better than the standard 741 type general purpose op amp. The ground-sensing differential input stage of this op amp provides increased slew rate compared to 741 types. So it's a quad op amp.
So here we've got our PH-1 here, and I'm just kind of probing around here. So I've got an input signal from our function generator over here, and the input signal looks like this on the scope. It's just a nice little sine wave at 100 millivolts, 533 hertz, give or take. And up here is IC, and what is that on the schematic there? It's IC number 2, and this input signal is being subjected to pin 5 over here. And oh, look at that. Oh my, that's a little different than what we had before. Eh? What's the output of this thing look like? Well, it looks something crazy like that. Look at that amplification. That is not right, that is not right. So we have a little bitty 100 millivolt signal coming in, and we are getting a huge amplification factor on there. That thing is supposed to be a buffer. It's supposed to be exactly what goes in comes out. So that is not okay. Let's look at the multimeter and see what the bias voltages are on that op amp. Alright, so we're going to be reading our bias voltages, and on the 5th pin of our IC there, we are getting 7 volts. That's a lot. Alright, and then on the output of this op amp, we're also getting 7.77 volts. Wow. Okay, how about on other things? How about pin 1 of this thing? We're getting 7.9 volts. That's quite a bit. You see that? 7.8, 7.9. Well, how about pin 2? Pin 2 is another one, 7.8 volts. Holy crap. Okay, how about pin, I don't know, the highest one on here? 8.79. That's not okay. What about this one? 7.8. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing high voltages on all of these op amp pins. Look at this, 7 volts on there. That's a lot, man. So this here is this. What does this mean? This means that our biases are way off, except for this one. This one seems fine. 5.4 volts. That seems okay, but the rest of them don't seem that good. So what does that mean? That means that we have high bias voltages. Okay, so how about our depth potentiometer on the 8, the one that's labeled 8 over here? What is that reading? That is reading 5.3 volts, which is fine. That's coming from that Zener bias. So that seems to be okay. And that should be the bias on pin 5. Right? If you look at our schematic over here, we see that D3 is our Zener. Should be 5.3-ish volts over here. Should be the same there, as well as it should be biasing up to there. that read about 7 volts. So there's a problem here, and it's common between a bunch of these IC2 pins. So what I'm thinking over here is that our IC2, there's something wrong with it. I think we're going to have to replace that. In fact, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So after replacing the op amp, sure sounds like it works to me, huh? Very cool. Very cool. So what did we do? We replaced the op amp because why? We were seeing a large amount of voltage on almost every single pin. And so when you see something like that, usually that's the case where the op amp ground is either floating or the op amp is bad.
So thanks for joining me on repairing this PH-1. Now we're going to go through some people who use the PH-1 actively. So here I only have 2 examples from Equipboard over here. We've got Counting Crows' Dan Vickery. It seems like in an interview based in 2012 he mentions it, at least. So Dan, I love the ZVEX show pedal. It can sound like sparks are flying from it. I have other pedals like the Tech 21 Sansamp Hughes and Kettner Rotosphere, Electro-Harmonix Memory Man, DoD FX10, MXR Distortion Plus, the Boss VB2, DM2, HR2, PN2, and yes, the PH-1. He's got a way huge red llama and a Den Electro Dan Echo. All the pedals are powered from a custom Audio Electronics Bradshaw rack. It controls up to 16 individual effects, pedals on true bypass loops. That rack has a controller that allows you to program presets for each song or part of a song. And there's also a 4-channel amp switcher included in the setup. So that is Counting Crows' Dan Vickery. Next and last we have Chris Carter. Chris Carter is a basically a, well, over here it says industrial music pioneer Chris Carter with gear in 1980. And so what did he do? He did like a lot of really cool industrial type of work in the 80s and the 70s. And even today, I believe, if we go over here, he was in a band called the Throbbing Gristle. And according to Wikipedia, it seems like they are still active. So, and doing things, which is cool. Here's a record from Chris with Chris and Cozy, but we also have some other things on YouTube over here, from the Throbbing Gristles. Of course, it's blocked in the USA, but I'm sure I can get it somewhere else. Anyway, Chris Carter of Throbbing Gristle and Chris Cozy at his Industrial Record Studio, 1980. Over here, the gear is left side top down, a Boss PH-1. Look at that, the first one that it mentions over here, right in the corner there. Boss PH-1 pedal, Simmons Claptrap, Roland SRE555 Chorus Echo, Roland SH7 Synth, a Boss DR55, Dr. Rhythm, a Roland CSQ100 Sequencer, a Roland CR78 Compu Rhythm. And then we've got a bunch of other stuff too. I'm not going to go through the rest of these, but yeah, big fan of Roland and Boss, this guy. So really cool. Check him out. And well, thanks for watching. If you know anybody else who uses the PH-1 specifically, because there's also a PH-1R out there with a resonance setting, but it's completely different than the PH-1. So let me know if you know anybody who uses the PH-1 exclusively. Thanks for, oh my god, there's so many ads over here, dude. Jeez, man. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and have a good day.